The following roster and modding were provided by a willing individual. All remarks are meant for enjoyment and educational purposes.
Welcome back to the class, everyone. Today we're going to be doing mod shaming once again. And a reminder that the whole purpose of this is for it to be educational and fun, as said in the disclaimer beforehand. And if you want to participate in this yourself, you can join our Discord below. You can find the exact channel for this and follow the instructions. And you too can have your roster shamed. That being said, today we're going to be doing a review of this character or this person's Iden troopers. We can see a few things before we even start this. Number one, they're only a 5 million account, pretty darn huge. So this is going to be seen through that lens, and even then, my Iden troopers are a little bit close to gear in this, and they still pull a lot of massive work off, even at gear 12 and gear 11, just because the amazing synergy they have specifically against rebel characters, but also just against teams that like to attack at a turn, and nowadays, that is super often. So that being said, let's go ahead and look at Iden herself. So first thing we need to shame, or we need to look at here that's a really kind of a no-no, is we have a lot of good mods that are blue that have only hit speed, and not just on Iden. We'll get this to some other characters, but these need to be sliced. Like before you go and try to find like the 20 speed mod or whatever, you might have the 20 speed mod sitting in your roster already and you're just not slicing it. So that's definitely first recommendation. That kind of is an overall thing. If you have mods, green, blue, purple, that are exclusively hitting speed or almost exclusively hitting speed and have things like 5% offense on them, keep slicing them. Like that's gotta happen. I know materials are rare, but a lot of these have to be priorities, like these two especially, or even this one right here. The primary set is a little weird, but anyways, on to the actual characters mods. So Iden's team, not just herself, but her team, doesn't typically need a ton of speed. Number one, Iden starts with 100% turn meter, so she's going to go first, really no matter what, unless Han's there. And then on top of that, because of the way the leadership works, they gain a stupid amount of turn meter here. Every single time someone attacks at a turn, they get 10% turn meter along with 20% health and protection. So a little speed helps. You want the characters to continue to take turns just in case there isn't a whole lot of assisting like there would be on maybe a Geo or a Mon Mothma team. But still, they can go a little bit lower in the totem pole for your priorities. That being said, there's really two ways you can mod Iden, and it looks like you're kind of going for one of them. But one, all-out potency. So you really need to commit to one of these or the other. All-out potency, all three sets potency and potency here. And the goal behind that is to actually try to stop one of Iden's main counters, which is Wampa. If he doesn't have enough tenacity and he gets stunned on that opening hit before he can build his tenacity up that's ridiculous, then you win. Like they just die, and they die horrifically. That being said, I'm not going to voucher for that modding for this character because this character is only gear 11 and you get a decent amount of potency from Iden's finisher. So right now I don't even think we can stop a Wampa that isn't even modded for tenacity. So we're on the right road here. Really, what we do want to focus on is crit damage, so we're in the right direction, crit damage set, and potency set, so you have all that right. Really, honestly, the only thing that needs to be changed here is maybe an offense arrow. Speed is okay, especially when you have percent offense like this. Like, yeah, this is a good mod too. And as well as crit damage on the triangle along with the crit damage set is what we want to be going for. There's really no character in game that wants a crit damage set and a crit damage primary on their triangle, just because of how the math works out and what you get from both. There are some characters that want offense and crit damage together. That being said, this specific combo is almost never a good thing, and a lot of these usually end up just getting put on characters that A, need pilot mods, or just need a little bit of speed to boost them where they need to go. I do prefer crit damage on Iden just because she applies vulnerability on her first special that for rebel allies cannot be resisted, so they get stuck with it and then everybody crits all the time. And even if that doesn't happen, Iden has enough crit chance through both, I believe it's her leadership, as well as the buff that she constantly gives up, we adapt or die, that you get to 100% crit chance even when you're already sitting at like a 28% base. So crit damage is good, could use some more offense, and dude, slice those mods. Those really need help. Next up is going to be Stormtrooper. Stormtrooper is super simple. You just want him to be super tanky. Again, the team gets a ton of turn meter through Iden's lead. Speed really isn't that big of a priority. You do want them to take turns, but they should be doing that naturally because of the teams you're using them against on offense, or that really even some of the teams people take them against on defense. defense sets all the way up, protection primaries. Even if you can find it, and I know you're probably a little bit limited because you have a somewhat smaller roster, but protection primaries on the arrow, on the triangle, on the cross, and here we have a generally good idea going of one defense set already, and it looks like you're aware that protection is there. The reason why we're going protection is because they're pretty much equal with Iden's bonuses, and a protection already has a larger amount when you compare the primaries. I guess we can, I don't even know if you have a health primary, so under it's only 6% health and 24% health or 24% protection if you're at 5 dot. Once you go to 6 dot, even 16% health comes out as lower than 24%, and then his base protection is also larger than his base health. But overall, you really just do want to focus a lot on protection and defense because it really does get boosted a lot, especially when you start to look at both his unique as well as actually a special that gives defense up too. So make him as tanky as possible. Speed really isn't that big of a priority. Like honestly, 77 might as well just be fine on him. Moving on to the next one, and this is where things start to be a little bit different with Magma. Magma has one of the most unique moddings in the entire game. We're going to need to talk about his kit a little bit to really understand it. Number one, he gains 60% tenacity through his unique, 30 here and then 30 down below, and he gains 70% turn meter. That's a lot. The first time he resists a detrimental buff or suffers a debuff each turn. So anytime he's resisting a debuff, he's just going to gain massive turn meter going up 70, and then just cycling back through. The kicker for this, you need to have enough tenacity that he's resisting a fair amount of debuffs, but you also need to have potency to where he's actually going to be able to go in and use his AoE and remove the enemy turn meter, because this isn't guaranteed. It also ignores armor, so that's pretty cool. So this one, we're going to need quite a few changes on. I personally like him to be at least 100% potency. That way you're going to be able to get the turn meter stripped sufficiently, but also, and then after that, just get as much tenacity you can get on him. Mine currently, I think, runs 100% of both, and I think we're going to be a little bit under when we look at the total amounts. Yeah, so we're quite a bit under, both on tenacity and potency, because once you combine the 60% he has here with 100 here, 170, 180% tenacity, you're going to be resisting the vast majority of things. It's going to be very hard to land a debuff on him without tenacity down, or a character specifically modded for a ton of potency. And you really don't need damage on him. Like, he has an attack that ignores armor, which that's actually really rare nowadays. But on the team, you're listed Iden, Snow Trooper, as well as Death Trooper. Magma really doesn't need to be doing the damage. And eventually you'll get Death Mark, you have healing immunity, you have a lot of ways to gain offense and critical damage that Magma can really be more utility on the team. He can be stripping turn meter, as well as doing really just a lot of other fun things to your enemy team, just taking turns and being annoying in general. That being said, moving on to those damage dealers, Death Trooper. Death Trooper is going to want to be a little similar to Iden in the sense that the typical focus is going to be crit damage and potency. So we have offense sets here, and offense is really not a bad secondary, especially if you're consistently fighting teams that have a lot of crit avoidance. One of the teams that we are going to be fighting a lot is going to be CLS. That being said, the invulnerable should stick for the most part, but they have crit avoidance on the team even outside of the crit immunity that Chewbacca is giving through guard, but the crit avoidance from 2PO himself. Another thing that can be a little bit beneficial as a secondary on him is crit chance. Again, you don't need a whole lot just because the amount that he's getting through Iden's, both her lead and her buff, you should get to 100%, but the potency actually might be more important on Death Trooper than Iden. We really need to get that up here. I don't think, we don't have hardly any. His basic has a chance to daze and stun. He has healing immunity as well as Death Mark. So he has a lot of really crucial debuffs. I think the Death Mark actually can't be resisted. Yeah, but the other two, these are crucial debuffs that need to be landing, especially when you have a bunch of characters either using Retribution and hitting your opponent's back, or just Mass Assist. He's going to be able to hit a lot of different characters with his basic to be able to stun and or daze if they already landed the daze. So a lot of work to do here. Offense honestly isn't bad. If your mods are limited, you can keep the offense set, but do definitely get some more potency on him so that he can start to be able to actually land those debuffs. And again, a little similar to Magma Trooper, not just kill the enemy, but you want to control the team overall. Snow Trooper, actually looking okay. He's got an offense set which, different from Death Trooper and Iden, is actually what you want. Protection is probably ideal over health, so that's looking good. Don't need massive speeds on this guy. I do want to put a little bit more of a focus on offense, and the reason why we have more of a pull to offense on him than we do for Death Trooper and Iden is because if you look in his unique, or not his unique, his special rather, he's going to be able to give himself critical damage up for 2 turns. When you have a high multiplier, which is your critical damage, already being given through a bunch of outside sources, for example, unique, your modding, you typically want to not offset it, but increase it even more by increasing your base, which is your offense. Still definitely want a critical damage triangle on him, so that needs to change right there. But if we're looking to get the most out of this character, offense and then really secondaries, you can go tenacity. I don't think it matters. You can go health. You can go defense. Crit chance is okay. Again, the crit chance statement is going to get, once again, caught by the fact that Iden really just pushes everyone either to 100%, or you're also just working with vulnerable, where you should be able to land crits that way as well. So quite a bit of work to do on everyone. You have the right direction in a lot of these areas. Iden needs to, I think really the one who needs the most far up is going to be Magma Trooper. Really needs to hone in on potency and tenacity. And the ugly truth is, you could change nothing on Iden and she will still beat Mon Mothma. But if we're trying to go for a higher grade of quality on all of these mods, that's really where the shame lies, is figuring out, definitely slicing these mods up, getting them to a higher priority. The sets themselves are pretty good. Moving Stormtrooper more to protection and defense as much as you can. Magma Trooper, we already went over him. And then Death Trooper definitely needs a lot more potency. So that is going to be it for today, guys. Again, if you want to have your team or your roster shamed, do enter into the Discord that is in the link below. Go into the channel, and please do follow the directions. I need your ally code. I need 5 characters specifically that we want to be going over, not just a faction. Some factions, as you can see, are very large. And on top of that, this isn't really kind of a way to show off. This is supposed to be educational. We're supposed to look at these teams and make comments that can not only help the person who's entering it, but also everyone else. So if all of your characters have 16,000 speed on them, it's really not that educational. And I also can't be shamed, which goes against the name of the game. So until the next time, thanks for being here. Remember to stay awesome and have a good one.